1. So my girlfriend and I, both 19, decided to have a late Halloween party for several of her college friends and a few of my redneck mates. Now the party was bring your own drinks, as both me and my girlfriend are underage, but it was not an alcohol-free party as many of our friends were 21, but under specific instructions to not give to anyone underage. I run a tight ship. Now for the drama. The entitled wench Hannah arrives, with her equally entitled brother Max uninvited, as neither me nor my girlfriend know her. But to keep the party going, we decided to let her be. For a good chunk of the party, it was fine. She tried hooking up, tried to bum booze and cigarettes, but she was largely unsuccessful and unbothersome. Her brother is a different story. He kept hitting on my girlfriend as she doesn't look as old as she is, and I spend most of the time telling him to fuck off. He, thinking he's hot shit, continues thinking he will eventually seduce my girlfriend with his flexing and lewd comments. Spoilers. It doesn't do much other than annoy me and my girlfriend. So now for the blow-up. I get off the dance floor with my girlfriend and she wanders off to get some drinks, when Match approaches me with a stick up his butt.
What's your deal? I'm trying to get that girl and you keep cock-blocking me.
As I've told you before, she's my girlfriend and she's not interested in a minor.
Yeah, right. You're not dating her. You're just trying to stop me so you can get in her pants.
He says as he gets in my face, where I can now distinguish the strong smell of liquor. Have you been drinking? Who gave it to you?
None of your business,
he says as he walks off smugly. I'm now concerned that I may be in trouble for a minor consuming alcohol at my house, and walk off to find out which idiot gave him booze. I get halfway around all of the people that had brought alcohol, when I hear the distinct sound of my girlfriend yell, "Leave me alone." I run over to see her in all of her 5-foot Scottish fury, and Max, 5'9", in a circle of people looking rather mad and scared. What the hell is going on? My girlfriend says he just grabbed my arm and tried pulling me away, saying he'd show me a good time or something.
What the hell, man? I was just trying to get to know her and have some fun.
You need to get your sister and leave right now. Hannah appeared out of the mist.
Why?
Your brother is drunk and is harassing my girlfriend. I don't know where he even got the alcohol. Now, I've been willing to tolerate your whore ass, but you need to leave now.
I talk to her like that,
says Max, and he gets closer than I'd like. You both need to leave now or I'm calling the cops. And if you keep getting closer, I'm going to put a hole through you. Not my finest idea to threaten him, but I was stressed and he was in my face and drunk. Now, with the mention of police or a gun, they both bail while cussing me out. Turns out Hannah was giving BJs for booze and sharing with her little brother. Party was pretty much over after that, and everyone laughed. But God, this really made me angry. 2. So yesterday on Instagram, I posted a picture of items I purchased from a small black-owned business in my story. The small business owner always asks that her customers send her pictures or videos of the items that we purchased and our honest opinions so that she can post them on her business page. I did just that, tagging the business owner and stating in the Instagram story that the items arrived quickly in perfect condition and they smell wonderful. I can't wait to use them. So the business owner had a buy one get one free sale the week before last, prompting me to purchase those items with her. So I had lots of items in the picture. My friend Kay messages me in my story and says,
"Pack out what you don't use and give them to me."
So I became annoyed and downright offended by this. I told her, "Stop being greedy. I gave you several different gifts during your birthday shower last week. I even told her, go get a job." I don't feel like that was wrong because she came off so entitled. So she continued messaging me and said,
"Your gifts weren't for me, that was for the baby."
I said to myself, wow, that's so disrespectful. A baby shower gift is a present to the parents for the arrival of their unborn child. How can you say it wasn't for me? I spent almost $150 in gifts for her, and the thing is, she never said thank you. Until a minute after, and then she says,
Thanks for the gift.
Then continues saying,
You have 15 of those items, so why not give some to me?
I told her to stop with the entitlement. I didn't post this picture for you on my story. She was the only of my Instagram friends who even commented on this. She continues sending me pictures saying that they will collect dust and that I should share with her because I know you got it like that. She also said,
Who the hell needs all that?
I never discussed my personal finances with her. She's assuming I have all this because I have income coming, unlike her who doesn't work at all. I just stopped replying and muted her, and then today I blocked her. I would notice that during her pregnancy, she was alluding to things that made me assume she thought I would financially cover her or her child, which I wouldn't. This is partly because her unborn baby's father is kinda there, and then he isn't, and she lives at home with her mom. I would give her plates of food because she would see me post my dinner in my Instagram story and ask for stuff. She even demanded that I bake her desserts because my stuff tastes good. I felt so offended at that entitlement. I just don't know if I was hasty, but I felt annoyed because I went out of my way to give her 2 large bags of baby shower gifts, and yet it isn't enough. Like I owe her something when I don't. Am I right for my decision? I don't feel bad about it, but I wonder if it was the best choice. 3. This happened to me probably 15 years ago. I don't remember all the details, but it happened something like that. I was mowing the lawn in our front yard without the basket attached. We always used to do that so the cut grass can decompose and fertilize the lawn. When I got closer to the hedge, I saw that one of my neighbors, probably in his 70s at the time, was looking over the hedge and was giving me a signal to stop the mower. The conversation goes, "What's up?"
"And you put the cuttings into a wheelbarrow and drop it off in my horse barn?"
500 meters away. "No, sorry, we never mow with a basket, and I wouldn't even know where the basket is, to be honest."
"Can you look for it and attach it? I really need the cuttings for the horses." "Come on, boy. You're still young."
Okay, yes. I was that weak back then as a teenager. I had to ask my dad if he knew where the basket was, and we probably spent half an hour looking for it. When I came back, the entitled neighbor was still there waiting for me, and he stared at me the whole time. So I attached the bloody thing and kept mowing and filling up the wheelbarrow. When it was full, I hit the road. The neighbor asked me if I could also mow the areas that I already mowed because the cut grass looks like dry hay. I agreed, and he took off on his bike. He was nowhere to be seen when I dropped the cut grass into his barn and made my way back. He was likely watching me from inside his house. The whole trip probably took me 15 minutes, and walking around with a wheelbarrow wasn't really how I wanted to be seen as a teenager. When I came back, my dad asked me where I went, and I explained to him what had happened. He only asked me how much I got for that, and I told him I don't know. Dad was shaking his head and told me to fill another load, and then keep mowing without the basket. A few hours later, the neighbor came back and knocked on the door. My dad opened, and I was listening from upstairs.
"Where is he? He wanted to drop off a few more loads of grass."
"Oh, you forgot to mention that he doesn't work for free."
"I'm not paying him for grass."
"You should give him at least a tip, and tell him beforehand so he doesn't work with lots of excitement."
"I asked him, and he said yes. No word of money, and he didn't even come back. And now I see that he cut everything without the basket. I want my grass cuttings. Tell him to mow it over again."
"The job is done," said my dad, "and you can take the full wheelbarrow over there if you want. If it's not enough, there's a rake in the shed, but watch out, the dog is out and she didn't have her dinner yet." And then slams the door. Of course, he didn't take the wheelbarrow. And I saw him cycling past our house the next days more often than he used to do. I have to say that my sister was furious when she heard the story because she and her friend took care of the horses, and apparently they are not allowed to eat grass cuttings. Old horses, by the way. The neighbor came back next summer and asked again, but I just refused and kept mowing. And it became a habit for me to ask people for money if they wanted me to do a job for them. 4. I'm a 25-year-old man and have been working since I was 16. And my first ever job was one I know many people share, McDonald's. Anyone who's worked there, even for the shortest amount of time, undoubtedly has stories, myself included. This one is definitely in my top 3 most ridiculous, and I've been racking my brain trying to figure out which to tell. I was probably 17 when this happened, and at the time, I was doing opening shifts on weekends. The location I worked in was located just beyond a golf and country club that catered to the local retirement community. So every morning we would see the same group of older people, more or less. One regular, Ed, I served almost every time I opened the store, and his order was very simple, and one I've never been able to forget because of this: sausage biscuit and at least 8 grape jelly packets. Ed was a big guy. He had a hard time even getting in the door some mornings, as he was always out of breath just making the trip from his car. And I would guess he was only in his mid-60s. Otherwise a very standard older gentleman, with the exception of his medical alert bracelet, which I had noticed many times before, as his was particularly elaborate. I didn't really notice when he was gone for a while, if I'm being honest. He wasn't an everyday sort of regular, and we weren't even on conversational terms beyond the customer service script of "Hi, bye, have a good day." However, the next time I saw him, he was in bad enough shape that even I had to ask him if he was all right. He was wheezing just coming up to the counter and coughing whenever he spoke, and I got the gist that he had just been in hospital. I knew what he wanted, so I just told him I got it and not to worry about saying it. But before he could pay, a woman rushes in from outside and starts talking a mile a minute. It's pretty clear she's his wife, and she's definitely of the trophy variety: big hair, nice manicure, sparkly jewelry, at least a decade younger, if not more. She's frantic, begging him not to get his breakfast sandwich and pleading with me not to serve him. It's super awkward, and I end up asking my manager what to do. And she says we can't refuse service because someone else says to. So I apologize, and Ed gets his food while his wife is nearly in tears, telling me he's had heart issues. I think surgery as well, but I don't recall. And the doctor said he can't have any sort of cholesterol or fast food, because his arteries can't take it anymore. All I could really do was apologize and leave it to Ed to try and console her, which he did not. He honestly just sort of ignored her until she went back outside. She came in on her own after that several times, begging us not to serve her husband. I felt bad for her. It was obvious Ed was killing himself slowly with his lack of regard for his diet, if everything she said was true. Unfortunately, there was nothing we could do, and every time I was asked, it wasn't up to us to police the customers' diets. It became increasingly tense serving Ed, as he never seemed to improve with his breathing, and eventually he and his wife just stopped coming. The morning crew noticed and hoped he'd taken his wife's advice at long last, but no. One morning his wife comes back, alone. She's stone-faced, cold, and before I can greet her, she slams his medical alert bracelet down on the counter and just opens the floodgates on my poor teenage ass. I mean, full-on shouting at me that I killed her husband. The way she said it, it was like I had strangled him with my own 2 hands and got some sort of enjoyment out of watching his slow decline. I was pretty stunned and just apologized and handed her over to our manager to escape to the back. No way I was sitting through the whole tirade, basically accusing me of first-degree murder. When I came back, my manager was stressed, but the woman had left at last. Apparently, she made all sorts of demands, wanting corporate's number so she could sue us for causing Ed's heart to give out with our food and never even trying to stop him. She was especially pissed at me for refusing to stop serving him and wanted all kinds of information on me, which my manager firmly refused, and her tears and anger made me feel truly culpable. We never saw her again after that for as long as I worked there. As far as I know, nothing came of her lawsuit threats, and I eventually moved on to a different, less customer service-oriented job because I had grown to hate people even more than when I started. To Ed, aka Sausage Biscuit Guy, rest in peace, and I hope there's plenty of grape jelly wherever you ended up. I try to be glad your wife loved you enough to go full Karen over you passing, but now I'm burdened with the small, unshakable fact that I did, however unintentionally, play some part in enabling you to your end. 5. Back in the last century, yes, really, it was around 1981 or so, I worked at what was called a television repair and sales shop. We even had a few of the tube, not just the picture tube, TVs come in for repair. Yes, you younglings, TVs had tubes and were not flat, but I digress. Back then, 12-inch black and white TVs were popular. They were small and often had a white case with a carry handle. They were popular because they were relatively inexpensive, lightweight, and easily moved from room to room. They had a particular following with older folks and people in prison because most had a headphone jack and met the requirements. This story is about one owned by an older person. So I'm working the repair desk and also covering the front counter one day. I'm out back, and I hear the door chime go off indicating one of our customers is coming in. I get up from whatever repair I am working on and go out to assist them. As I make my turn into the showroom area, I am hit by a tidal wave of cigarette smoke. I do not smoke. The owners and all of the employees at the time did not smoke, and we did not allow smoking in the store. I already knew this would be fun. I made the turn into the front, and the customer, an older woman, was carrying in her TV, the aforementioned 12-inch black and white, but there was no one smoking out there. I was confused until my eyes focused on the TV. It was a variety that had the normal size and shape, but had a very dark brown, almost black case. I had never seen or smelled such a thing. I realized this poor TV had lived its life in a very unhealthy environment, and now we had to provide care. She gave us the symptoms, argued about the repair deposit, and took her repair slip and receipt. The receipt had the serial number, which will become important later. Immediately after she left, I bagged the TV, which kind of stuck to my hand when I picked it up. In a plastic bag, sealed it, and set it aside. About 45 minutes later, the store owner came back from a service call. When he came in, he still smelled the TV and asked. I just pointed to the bagged TV. The next day, I took it outside and, armed with a few rolls of paper towels and some 409, went to work. Came back in for another roll of paper towel and finished cleaning the outside. Brought it in, fixed the issues she brought it in for, all caused by smoke residue, bagged it again, and called her to let her know it was ready to be picked up. My boss decided to charge her the minimum just to get it out quickly. That was a mistake. She came in the next day. I brought the TV out, and it was like lighting a fuse. It started slow, built, and then the explosion. First there was the argument that it was not her TV, it looked different, wasn't the right size, was too bright when we plugged it in to show her it was fixed, because we scraped years of nicotine off the screen, etc. The owner came out and talked to her, and told her we were only charging the minimum, which caused her to go off and say that was because we lost her TV. The volume and arguments built for a few minutes, until we pointed out the serial number. We showed her that the TV and her slip had the same serial number, at which point she said she would take it, and she would come back and pay tomorrow. My boss said that was fine. We both think she thought she was getting a newer, better TV, so just went with it. On a surprise note, she actually did come back and pay the next day. We spent more on paper towels and cleaning supplies than on any other device in my 18 years there, and it still may yet cause my cancer. But we all survived, and that is what was important. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to Idiots in the Wild, episode 142. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. And before you go, please do poke the like button. If you'd like early access to the videos, then you can support me through my Patreon, which is linked in the description. That's Hellfreezer on Patreon. You'll also find a link to the Hellfreezer merchandise store, where you can get yourself some Hellfreezer merchandise. Still time to get it in time for Christmas. Maybe. Depends how busy they are. And you can also make donations during streams and videos like this one, by hitting that little heart with the $sign below the video. And you don't have to do any of this, but I do very much appreciate it, and it's been helping me out a lot. It's been keeping my chilly ass warm. Okay, let's see. I don't think there's any other business, so let's move right along to Hellfreezer's question of the day. And today's question is... And this one comes from Newcomb on the Discord. And this is socks and sandals, okay, or fashion horror. Personally, I don't care. If you want to wear socks with your sandals, by all means go for it. I mean, I'd probably wear shoes or boots if I wanted to keep my feet warm, but they're your feet, do what you like with them. But let me know what you think in a comment below. And with that, I'm gonna head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourselves.